Mock draft season is officially here, and with the 27th pick in this year's draft, the Niners can go a few different ways with this. And a recent mock draft that just popped up has the Niners taking a potential successor to George Kittle at the tight end position, and it might be an opportunity that the Niners just can't miss out on. And we're going to break that all down for you on this episode of Niners Digest. My name is Ethan Galbraith. Thank you so much for watching. The window for college football underclassmen to declare for the NFL draft has officially closed. So it's mock draft season. Everybody's looking forward to the NFL draft, the combine, pro day, so much to look forward to at this point in the season. And we got to look at the good, the bad, the downright confusing in the realm of mock drafts. And one that came out recently was from Daniel Jeremiah. And it wasn't a bad mock draft necessarily, but the pick for the Niners at 27 maybe was not something that the Niners had thought of even just a few weeks ago for a potential pick there, but it might just make a lot more sense than people think, and it may end up being an opportunity that the Niners just can't miss out on. So we're going to break that all down for you, but before we do, this video is sponsored by Kalshi, the US's largest prediction market. Kalshi lets users trade event contracts peer-to-peer instead of against a sportsbook, and Kalshi is available nationwide too, so whether you're in California, Texas, it's available there for you in your state. When you download Kalshi using the link in the description and use code DIGESTNFL, you'll get $10 after depositing your first $100. Now, one of the best opportunities to trade on Kalshi is with the Super Bowl. And of course, it starts with who you think is going to win. Seattle comes out as a heavy favorite versus New England, but you can trade yes or no on who you think is going to win. And aside from who you think is going to win the game, you can trade yes or no on maybe who you think is going to score the first touchdown, how many points you think each team is going to score. You have a lot of opportunities on Kalshi with the big game. So make sure to use code DIGESTNFL after downloading Kalshi using the link in the description, and you'll get $10 after depositing your first $100. Thank you again to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. So while the Niners unfortunately are not playing in the Super Bowl in their home building this year, they do have a lot to look forward to. We've talked about the Brandon Ayuk situation seemingly looking like it's going to come to an end very soon. Potential free agents that the Niners could look out for. But one element that we haven't gotten to yet is the NFL draft. It's still a few months away. A lot can change in a few months. We all know this. But you can't help but start looking forward to it because there is a lot of talent, just like how it is every year across the first round especially. But the Niners love picking up late round gems too. But the first round might actually present an opportunity for the Niners at pick number 27 that people didn't even think. Some people might have thought that it wasn't even going to be an option, really, to start. So Daniel Jeremiah talked about in his mock draft about the Niners picking Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq at pick 27. Now, for those who may not know who this is, Kenyon Sadiq was, of course, a tight end at the University of Oregon, played pretty good football this past year. He had, compared to his previous seasons, had a pretty big breakout season. Some of that was brought on by the fact that the Ducks had some pretty important injuries across their offense over the course of the whole season. And yet he was a very consistent player for them overall. So Jeremiah's logic actually makes a lot of sense. And at first, you might think, why would the Niners use their first round pick on a tight end when they still have a future Hall of Famer in George Kittle? Yes, he's going to be coming off an Achilles tear, and he more than likely will not be available for a majority of the 2026 season. We don't know how long that's going to be yet, but Daniel Jeremiah thinks about the future, which is obviously what you always think about for the NFL draft. He says, quote, Sadiq could go much higher than 27th overall. He's undersized, but he has outstanding speed and is a competitive blocker. He would be the ultimate chess piece for Kyle Shanahan, giving the coach a hybrid of George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk. So this could actually be a better opportunity than the Niners fans or those looking forward to this first round pick than they initially thought. Of course, nobody could have predicted George Kittle tearing his Achilles in the playoffs, because if George Kittle obviously doesn't tear his Achilles, the Niners probably aren't looking at Sadiq as much at pick number 27, and it may not make as much sense, especially because the Niners clearly need help at the offensive line, wide receiver as well, but those are the two needs, offensive line and wide receiver. And yes, Sadiq is a great blocker, but he's not an offensive lineman, so it might not be the immediate number one need for the Niners. And that's fair to wonder why would they pick Kenyon Sadiq. And Daniel Jeremiah even adds that he might not even be available at pick 27. But let's just say he is. I see the vision with drafting Kenyon Sadiq at pick number 27. Here are his statistics from this past year, or his past 3 years at the University of Oregon. As you can see, he gets better and better as each year goes on, and in 2025, he had a breakout season in an Oregon offense that was firing on all cylinders, more or less, over the course of the whole season. So he is a proven pass catcher. He is a proven touchdown machine. He scored 8 this past season. So he is very versatile. And I think that when looking at this potential pick for the Niners, Daniel Jeremiah, you got to view it with the way Jeremiah views it, which is he could be more of a Swiss Army knife, multi-use guy, because, it's no secret. George Kittle obviously is coming back from his Achilles tear. We don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back, or even when he's going to come back. But him and Kyle Juszczyk are now in their 30s. 30's not old, let me be clear. But in football, that is usually when players leave the prime of their career. So being able to overlap Kenyon Sadiq's development with having a future tight end, future Hall of Fame tight end, and potential Hall of Fame fullback, really. He's been a multi-time Pro Bowler. Juszczyk has been as consistent as it gets. Having Sadiq being able to learn under both of them would be huge, in my opinion. And another part of this is, without George Kittle, yes, it's more of a short-term need, because Kittle obviously will be coming back from his Achilles injury eventually. But the Niners don't have another real answer for the tight end, the gap that they're going to have at tight end. Yes, Jake Tonjes is available, and it was a huge sign that he avoided a major injury in the Seattle game a couple weeks ago. So Tonjes will more than likely be available. But another thing to consider here is Tonjes is a restricted free agent. So a restricted free agent obviously has different guidelines than if he was an unrestricted free agent, but he will still be looking for a contract this offseason. I anticipate the Niners to bring him back, especially because of George Kittle's injury, and he stepped up in important moments. But the only other tight end that saw significant time this year was Luke Farrell. Braden Willis played some time as well, but you really had Luke Farrell and Jake Tonjes playing together for the tight end position. So ideally, Tonjes is the one that takes Kittle's place while he's injured. And especially, as I've mentioned in a previous video, the Niners run 11 personnel mostly, which is 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers. But I still think drafting Sadiq could be a really positive play, because if you turn on the tape and he's a great blocker, well, the Niners need great blocking. Yes, he's not an offensive lineman, but I think it could still be a huge boost for the run game, which, as I've talked about multiple times on this channel, didn't really meet expectations. They didn't crack 4 yards a carry on average for a majority of the season. They had flashes, but there was a clear difference when George Kittle was available versus when he wasn't. And if the Niners aren't going to have George Kittle to start 2026 and who knows for how many games next year, if they want to have a solid run game, they might need to bring in a guy like Sadiq too. He's not going to be great, obviously, immediately, but he could be a great piece to develop. And I like the way that Daniel Jeremiah describes him, which is a chess piece, because he's clearly proven that he can catch the football, he can score touchdowns, and he's a great blocker. He's a good blocker too. I'm not saying that this is the end-all be-all. The Niners need to make Kenyon Sadiq their first-round pick. No, I think that in the future we will also be looking at potential offensive lineman candidates, because this pool of offensive linemen in the draft, there are a lot of great options as well. Some that will be available most likely at pick 27 for the Niners. I'm just saying that this might be a pick that Niners fans might look past very quickly because he's a tight end and they already have George Kittle, but I think it's worth considering. So my final thoughts are this. Only time will tell, of course, where Sadiq will land, if he'll even be available at pick 27, and maybe his stock rises exponentially during the combine and pro day process, and he isn't available, and this doesn't matter. But if he is available, I do think it is worth considering, and I think the Niners will do a look through of a lot of players, and Sadiq should be one of them. And maybe he already is. Who knows? But that's all the time we have on this video for Niners Digest. Thank you again so much for watching. We'll keep you updated on any potential future mock drafts and who is popping up on the radar for who the Niners might pick at 27, or are they even going to keep that pick? We'll keep you updated on all of that. But for now, my name is Ethan Galbraith, and we will see you in the next video.